staying out of other people's problems can prove really challenging, especially for compassionate and caring people who want to help others. But it's important to strike a balance between being there for your friends and family and colleagues, acquaintances, and protecting your own mental and emotional health. Now, the same can be said of watching the news. You have to strike a balance between wanting to know what's going on in the world, trying to make a difference, and your own mental and emotional health. So my mentor, Jim Fortin, likes to share a bit of advice from his brother-in-law, who's a shaman. And he says, if you don't want to get wet, stay out of the water. And this guidance really does apply to scenarios like the ones I posed above, where there's something going on with your friends or family or at work, and you want to, or in the world, and you kind of jump in and want to help and then end up wet, meaning that you're mired in other people's problems and it impacts you emotionally and sometimes even physically, right? So you don't want to get mired down in other people's problems and negativity and emotions and drama. And that requires staying dry. Now, I've thought about not getting wet or staying dry a lot lately. I've been navigating this week some drama between a few of my friends, and I really didn't want to find myself up to my chin in emotional floodwaters. I didn't want to find myself sucked into their stories or emotions and find myself upset too. Recently, another friend came into a room stressed to the max, and I really didn't want to become soaked in her turmoil and overwhelm. Someone in my family recently just today had something going on, and while it was upsetting to me, I chose not to try to save this person. I can't. So there's another thing. Sometimes you just can't save them. And so all you can do is, from a very kind of dispassionate place, offer advice. Now, in the first case that I mentioned with some friends, I tried to be supportive in a text stream and on a few phone calls. And at the end of the day, I kind of felt like I'd swum the English Channel. In the second case, I didn't really engage, and I remained dry and with my energy intact. With my family member, it was just emotional for me to see this person hurting, but I didn't get super involved in the drama of what was happening. So basically, I chose not to get wet. And the trick is to stay dry all the time. And for that to happen, you have to consciously choose not to get wet. Then you have to do whatever's necessary to keep that commitment to yourself. So you commit to stay dry, commit to not get wet, and then keep that commitment, be in self-integrity with yourself. But, accomplishing that can feel easier said than done. And so with that in mind, I'd like to propose to you 5 different ways not to get wet the next time you see yourself heading for that turbulent water caused by somebody's drama, okay? Or somebody's need for help. So how do you stay dry? First way is don't take on other people's issues as your own. It's natural to want to help your friends and family and colleagues when they're going through tough times. But it's important to remember that you are not responsible for their problems. Not only that, the only way that the other people are going to learn whatever lessons they need to learn in this lifetime is by taking responsibility for themselves. And if you save them, that's not going to happen. Instead, the best thing to do is to encourage them to take responsibility so they stand in their power and find solutions. The second way to not get wet or stay dry is to practice active listening. One of the best ways to help someone is to listen actively, meaning pay attention to what they're saying, give them your full undivided attention, don't interrupt them or judge them, don't even offer any advice. Active listening helps the other person feel heard and supported, and you feel as if you're helping in some way. But because you don't offer help or commiserate with them, you avoid taking on their issues. So when a friend asks to speak to you about the drama or emotional situation in their life at the moment, don't try to solve their problem. Focus on understanding their perspective and letting them know that you're there for them. And when you do that, you kind of do it in an unemotional way, because you are not diving into their water. Sometimes it's their cesspool. The third way is to set boundaries. This is a really important one. Setting healthy boundaries is one of the most effective ways to stay out of other people's problems and drama. However, you have to be clear about when you need to pull back and care for yourself. And then with that kind of awareness, you can set up an appropriate boundary. So sometimes it's necessary to, decline an invitation to talk about your friend's problem, because you need to concentrate on your own well-being. And that can be really true if you know that speaking with them is going to drag you into the water with them. And by that, I mean, you have past experience that proves you end up feeling upset, anxious, or in some way like it's your job to fix whatever was wrong in their life. And you know that you'll feel guilty if you can't do that. Boundaries are so helpful in preventing yourself from psychologically or mentally draining situations, like preventing yourself from getting into them. So consider boundaries like erecting a healthy wall or space between wanting to help and taking on other people's issues as your own. That boundary could be something you put in place when you do active listening, so that you're not pulled in, right? You're just the listener and observer. You can't control everything in this world. And sometimes all you can do is be there as a listening ear and moral support. And sometimes, unfortunately, you can't even do that. And so you have to figure out your boundaries, okay? Number 4 is to offer support, not solutions. When it comes to your friends and family, even your work associates, providing too much support can do more harm than good. And that's especially true if it becomes a caretaking arrangement. So instead, offer emotional support and help them realize that they have the resources and skills necessary to solve their problems, but don't offer them solutions. We learn this as parents, or sometimes we don't learn this as parents. I had a hard time with not giving my kids solutions to their problems. By giving them solutions, I never helped them grow. And they never developed the confidence that they can solve their own problems. So help these people who come to you see their strengths and abilities rather than trying to fix everything for them. Otherwise, you'll find yourself constantly saving them and getting drenched in the process. They're going to pull you right in there with them. And the 5th one is don't get in the middle. There is one boundary you can set before anyone asks for your help, or you feel like you should give it, and that is don't get in the middle. I'd make this a firm rule. And that means you don't try to fix a problem between 2 or 3 or more people. You let them solve it themselves. Because if it's not your business, keep it theirs, right? And not yours. So that also means no sharing what one person said with the other, even if you're trying to help. Said another way, don't gossip, even if you think you're doing it to help. Because gossip often provides a way to discuss a conflict, first with one person, then with another. But it ends up being he said, she said sort of conversation. And it's a surefire way to get really wet, because in the end, you are going to be dragged into the middle, and somebody's going to be mad at you and whatever. So even though you have good intentions, putting yourself in the middle of other people's conflicts often causes more drama and stress within their lives and yours. And, if you think this type of intervention is going to work, more often than not, it backfires and creates conflict between you and the other parties. So make it your firm policy not to engage in any type of gossip. If someone starts to gossip about someone else's situation or what someone did to them, politely decline to participate in the conversation. Just today, I did that. I said, I don't want to talk about that person anymore. So staying out of other people's problems means acknowledging the very fine line between caring and codependency. If you metaphorically continue to jump into the water to save friends, family, and colleagues from drowning, you don't help them learn to swim. And they're going to habitually call on you to throw them a life vest. Ultimately, you have to balance your sensitivity and your compassion and your desire to be helpful with personal boundaries and realistic expectations for yourself and for others. And you have to stand in your power and stop trying to be their savior. It's kind of like the airplane advice, right? In an emergency, put on your oxygen mask first so you can help others put on theirs. Your primary job is to be responsible for yourself. Stay centered, connected, focused, and be taking care of yourself and your happiness, even if that seems somewhat selfish. And know you can help people by role modeling responsibility, boundaries, and caring without getting emotionally involved. So, think of yourself like a duck. Let the water run off your back, not soak in, and better yet, never dip your toes in the water to begin with. Okay? So I know this can be tough. I know it sounds like it is uncaring and selfish, but it is good for you and it's good for the other people. So be a duck, but don't get in the water. Don't get wet. All right, that's it for today. I'm Nina Amir, the Inspiration to Creation Coach. I am an intuitive transformational coach. I offer transformational coaching and certified high performance coaching, and run the Inspired Creator community, where I help people learn to get from point A to point B without getting in the way. I help them listen to their souls so that they can live a soul-aligned life, a life that I call one that feeds your soul. And so if you feel like you are struggling to feel fulfilled, to be happy, to get on the right track, to achieve your goals, then reach out or click on the link above and join the Inspired Creator community. That's where I offer group transformational coaching, group personal and spiritual growth, because you're a spiritual being having a human experience. And so we need to deal with the whole human in order to create lasting change or transformation. So again, if that's of interest to you, click on the link above for the Inspired Creator community, or reach out to me. Go on over to ninaamir.com and reach out to me via the contact form, and let's get on a call and chat for a little bit about how I can help you. It would be my honor to help you step into your best self and listen to your soul so that you can create your best self and your best life. So until I talk to you next time, go out there and achieve more inspired results.